I've been using the Apple Watch Series 5 since it came out in September, which is about 4 months ago, and in this video, I want to share my thoughts on the differences I've noticed compared to my old Series 4 Apple Watch, as well as my final conclusion on whether it was worth upgrading to the Series 5, and the features I believe could be coming to the Series 6 watch this September. Now, my old Series 4 was actually the gold stainless steel model with a gold Milanese loop, and that's exactly the combination I chose on the Series 5. I've compared both of them very closely, and there's literally no physical differences at all except for the little engraving on the back that says Series 5 instead of Series 4, so they're basically identical. Now, why in the world would I make this upgrade? Well, the most obvious reason is that we run this YouTube channel and we make a lot of Apple related videos, so we've got to have the latest and greatest Apple products to test and review. But if we toss that aside, the main reason I actually wanted to upgrade was the always on display. Yes, the Series 5 technically does get the new compass feature, which you can't get on the Series 4, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. It also gets 32GB of storage versus only 16 on the Series 4, but that honestly hasn't mattered to me much because I never even hit that 16GB limit on my Series 4. There's a reason why there were so little changes and differences with the Series 5. I believe that the Apple Watch has already almost hit its peak in terms of design, features, and software. The performance of the Series 4 was already great. The new display was a huge change that makes it look so much better. The feature set is already so vast that it's hard to think of more features that could be packed into the Apple Watch. The Series 4 was already the best smartwatch you could get, and it's easy to see that there wasn't much left to improve with the Series 5, except of course that always-on display. So here's why the always-on display is such a big deal. For years, that has been missing, and a lot of people have been asking for it. The main reasons are due to functionality, being able to see the time, your messages, and the temperature, or any of your complications at a glance without having to actually lift up your arm, your wrist, look at it, wait for it to turn on, or even touch it with your finger. Now, to some people, that might sound ridiculous, but that little bit of extra convenience actually adds a lot. For myself personally, that does help, but I also care about the style side of the always-on display. Previously, with the Series 4, I would at times swap out my Apple Watch for a nice regular watch when going out to a nice restaurant, a wedding, or different events, even though I would lose out on the obvious smart functionality. That's because for many years, the watch has been seen as a finishing touch to an outfit, like for example a suit and tie. Having a solid block of black on the face of the Series 4 really seemed to just kill that finishing touch. Now with the Series 5 and their always on display, your watch face is always lit up, so it looks much more like a normal watch. Of course, this might seem far-fetched to some people, but due to the always-on display alone, I've noticed that I've actually stopped wearing some of my other watches altogether because the Series 5 actually looks good, and I'm not the only one who thinks so. You'll find a lot of different Series 5 reviews on YouTube where people are switching back to the Apple Watch for that always-on display feature alone, so that has to say something. One thing I also like is that different faces act differently when you turn off the display. Some turn a white background and maybe black, and others leave an outline of the time so it's clearly visible and easy to read. But other than that, there really isn't much of a difference between the Series 4 and the Series 5. I haven't noticed any differences at all in performance, functionality, or anything else, but I've actually been getting very impressive battery life considering the display is always on, and I have it set to the maximum brightness all the time as well. I used to get around 50 to 55% battery life at the end of the day, and with the Series 5 it's now around 35%, so losing 20 to 25% battery life is a pretty good sacrifice for being able to have this always on display. The only time where the Series 5 died on me is when I went out on a long 6-hour hike and I had all of the workout activity tracking features enabled, but other than that, it has been great. The cool thing about the Series 5 is that the battery itself is actually bigger, so you can disable the always on display in the settings and get even more battery life if you don't want to use that feature. Now let's talk about the compass, the feature that is not available on the Series 4. Even though I have the gold chain link band, the compass is working perfectly fine. Now this feature isn't really that important to me personally because you only really need it if you're maybe lost or you're trying to navigate somewhere, and the places I go, they have trails. If you just stick to it, you're fine. However, the compass can actually be utilized by other apps, like Maps app for one example. This enables the watch to show you which direction you're facing, which can be really handy if you're using it alone for navigation. And Apple should be allowing third-party developers to make use of the compass to add this functionality into running apps and other apps like that. Now I know the Series 4 also supports the same features that you get with watchOS 6, but I've got to say that I'm really liking the new ambient noise feature. It's actually been quite helpful for us in a few different videos that we've done on this channel. For example, we use it to show off the differences in speaker volume in our 15 versus 16-inch MacBook Pro comparison video, and we use it again when we compare the volume of the fan noise between them when at max load. So this is probably one of my favorite new features with watchOS 6. Now before I give you my final answer on if upgrading was worth it or not, I want to mention the features I really would like to see on the Apple Watch Series 6. First off, I think it would be really cool if Apple created a round version of the Apple Watch. If you think about it, Apple has done basically everything they possibly can with the current Apple Watch design, so a round option would be great and help make it look even more like a normal, classy watch. I'd also like Apple to improve on the battery tech even more so that we have an option to not have the display dim when you're not using it. I actually avoid a few of the watch faces because in the always on mode, it gets quite dim and makes it kind of hard to tell the time, so I end up lifting my wrist anyways, so it'd be great if they would be brighter. There were some rumors of blood glucose monitoring coming to the Apple Watch, and I think that would be a huge accomplishment for Apple, making life a lot easier for people who need to check their blood sugar. Now on the software side, I think it would be awesome if Apple created a watch face store where third-party companies or people could create custom watch faces that you can purchase for a price. This would create a new profit stream for Apple and make a lot of people happy by having a larger base of watch faces. Now for the final question. Do I regret upgrading? Well, kind of, sort of, yes, but at the same time, no. If we weren't making YouTube videos, I would not have the Series 5 right now because I wouldn't have paid the money to upgrade. It's just simply too similar, and I really haven't noticed any other differences other than the always-on display. But at the same time, I really like the always-on display. The only reason to regret upgrading is the extra money spent, and 4 months later, I still kind of feel bad about it. But ultimately, if I ask myself, would I trade back from the Series 5 to a Series 4 right now if I would get the price difference back? And to answer that question, no, I wouldn't. I really like the Series 5 and the always-on display. And for brand new Apple Watch customers, I would absolutely recommend going for the Series 5 over the Series 3 because of all of the great feature changes that came with the Series 4, plus the few new ones with the 5. Amazon does still have the Series 4 available, renewed for $330, but I honestly think paying $85 more for a brand new Series 5 is definitely worth it. Whichever Apple Watch model you choose, we will have some affiliate links down below that you can use if you appreciate the information. If you enjoyed this video, tap that like button and click that circle above to subscribe for more videos like this one, and be sure to check out one of these two great videos right over there. Thanks for watching, this has been Max, and I'll see you in the next one.